Oh, snaps. We're live. Oh, man. You're in there somewhere. Oh, no. You're breaking up again. Can you hear me? Oh, no. Metrics is like, he's frozen forever.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm not hearing like anything.
I'm still here. I still got my picture.
Okay, wait. There you are again. Now I'm hearing you
have
perfect.
lost my partner in crime, DJ Triggs.
No.
He was right there when we started. But will he return?
Wait, you can't
we
hear
shall
me?
see. So let me see if he is here, and let's see where he could be. But we're having a little bit technical difficulties with the internet at the moment here. Let me see what I can do to get him back online. But we're here, we're live. And now I am tilted at a 90-degree angle, but there I am. Wait, here we go.
Can you hear me at all?
Oh. Yeah, I got you. I hear you now.
Okay.
You hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I think we had a little bit of debate with our internet.
I don't know, man. It feels like some wildness is going on. Almost like the wildness of, wait a minute, did you freeze again? Oh, I think Metrics froze again. He's in some undisclosed location. I have no idea what's happening.
Shape or form. Let me try turning this off again because this is.
Now you're blacked out. I don't even know where you are.
Better?
Yes.
Okay.
Sort of.
All right. Yeah. Sort of a little bit of a undisclosed location somewhere possibly within my house. Possibly. It is debate. But yes, internet's a little wonky.
I don't know if I believe you.
That is debate. It's kind of like going through the first portion of the show thinking I'm gonna get there, and then metaphorically we popped our Achilles like Tyler Halliburton.
Oh, Tyrese Halliburton. That was mean. That was like, whoa. I mean, even as a Bucks fan, that was a little below the belt. That was right in there. Right
Metaphorically.
in there.
Yeah. I tell you what, I still love the guy. The guy's awesome. Real bummer that it happened, but I know we've had a little bit of rivalry with them in recent years. But I tell you what, ever since I saw the guy, ever since he came over from Sacramento, I think he's a really cool player.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not gonna say he's a cool player or anything because, I mean, he's a good player. Like, I'm not gonna be a hater. He's a good player.
he's got cool tempo, cool pace of play. He does NBA Street Volume 2 plays where he throws the ball off the backboard and alley-oops it to himself. That's pretty cool. I like that.
I mean, I guess I just can't give the guy any love, and I don't want to, so I'm refusing.
Hey, that's fair, man. But I tell you what, it's he's basically gonna of ball back season after that. So
Man, you're freezing up again. I don't know what's going on here. This isn't like metrics. This is different. It's all the good Tyrese Halliburton talk. That's probably got you frozen up.
with
Maybe.
here to get back on.
Oh man, there you go again.
Okay.
Our viewers they're wondering what is going on with the metrics, man.
Yeah, it's very debatable going on here in the household. But it's a little bit wonky this go around.
Are you
Um
are you on
how's that?
your
Is that
laptop?
I am. Is that better?
It is. Have you tried going on your phone and seeing if that would work?
I am on my phone right now, actually.
Oh, so you're not on the laptop.
I am not, but am I coming through better now? Because I
You
did a
are.
little, I did a little bit of magic, and that might be the trick.
Ooh. Magic?
Yeah, I have powers. I do have powers to a degree.
Like Orlando Magic getting Desmond Bain for like 97 first round picks?
I don't know if I'm at that level yet, but one day I will get there. I'm working on it.
Or or are you at Houston Rockets Magic who only got Kevin Durant for like one pick and some seconds?
Yeah, basically just Jalen Green.
Yeah.
I
Like
mean, it's like, all right, we'll give you a future promising player, but we can probably replace him at some point, and the whole rest of the team just stays intact. And to be
dude,
honest, the 5 second round picks, I mean, it's not really going to matter, I think, until like maybe 4 or 5 years out when college athletes really start to bank NIL deals, and then they're more developed 4 to 5 years from now. But other than that, like they basically got Kevin Durant for Jalen Green.
wait a minute. Can I? All right. So Jalen Green, right? All right. So I've been trying to like piece this together in my brain for like
Yeah,
an entire day, basically, because I mean, it happened yesterday, right? So Jalen Green, obviously, a young, promising player, very
yeah,
inconsistent, but still young and promising. He's going to
yeah.
have to get paid, right? Like, he's getting paid pretty soon, like, big deal, because everyone does. I mean, look at Jordan Poole getting huge money with Washington. The problem is, and this is what no one's really talking about, those second round picks are going to come in handy pretty soon. The reason why, the only big contract they got back was Dylan Brooks, right?
Okay.
And I mean, Dylan Brooks isn't that great, but he did get that huge deal with Houston. I mean, especially after his run with Canada in the World Cup and all that good stuff, right? So
Sure.
now you think of it that way. The worst part about this entire deal, the Suns are still in the second apron. Like, they're still screwed. They're going to
Okay.
have to trade someone. And everyone goes, oh, well, they got to get rid of Bradley Beal. That's easy. Wrong. He's got a no trade clause, so he doesn't have to go anywhere. Plus, now, all right, this is what I was thinking. Bradley Beal's a pretty solid player, right? And I
Yeah,
came up with the crazy fascination that the Bucks could get Kevin
Durant.
Durant with the Damian Lillard move, right?
I thought it was
All right,
fair.
I'm not in that. I'm not in that boat, but but hear me out here. You
Sure.
use a team like the Phoenix Suns to move money around. Now we're talking, hey, we just want to get off of this deal. We will do anything to get off this deal. Hear me out here. Two scenarios that I've kind of been putting pieces together and throwing around.
Yep.
Damian Lillard. I mean, the guy's hurt. You're going to get a pretty solid pick out of him because he's not going to play.
Right.
Could the Bucks go out and move Damian Lillard to a team like the Wizards? For the money, the Wizards end up getting rid of the Jordan Poole contract. They send maybe a pick down to the Atlanta Hawks, who moved Trey Young to the Milwaukee Bucks.
Okay. So Trey Young goes to the Bucks, Jordan Poole goes to Atlanta, and then
Lillard goes to the Wizards,
with
who
okay,
probably buy him out, but that's the way they get away from the Jordan Poole deal,
interesting. So then Lillard has free reign to go wherever he wants then?
especially after he comes back from injury.
Interesting. Yeah, and that's definitely a thing that the NBA is able to do in a unique way that the other sports really don't do.
Hmm.
So it makes a lot of sense, and
Now,
these scenarios we have seen happen.
he wouldn't go like this anymore. He would start ring chasing.
He would. He would. That is very true. And the thing is too that we've seen recently is basically whatever team wins the championship has to have a dynamite bona fide shooter and like a really good wing player. Like Damian Lillard is that kind of guy.
Yeah. So, um, oh, actually, apparently, this hypothetical trade. So I just typed it into Google just to see if it's possible, and apparently, other people are talking about the same idea,
That is
but
interesting.
they're moving it a little different. So I talked about moving picks.
Sure.
So the way it would look, the Bucks only get Trey Young. The
Okay.
Wizards get Damian Lillard and 2 second-round picks, but they unload Jordan Poole, Marcus Smart. The Bucks get rid of Andre Jackson and Tyler Smith. They're two young guys, which, by the way, by the end of the season, Andre Jackson wasn't even playable, and people are getting upset about it.
Sure.
Now, then they get a 2031 pick from the Bucks and two pick swaps later on. So the Hawks walk away with three of the best picks. Jordan Poole, two young players, and Marcus Smart.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
the Wizards unload a bunch of money. They
Yes.
get 2 second-round picks, and they can kind of walk away from Damian Lillard if they really wanted to. On top of
Yeah.
that, Damian Lillard can now go ring chase wherever he wants and still get paid if they buy him out.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. And I think too that I mean, granted, next season he's gonna basically just heal up. So it seems like he might even just not even play next season and basically just get healthy to play 2 years from now.
Yeah.
I think it makes a ton of sense. Um, yeah, I mean, he would kind of come back in like Chet Holmgren kind of style coming into play this season. But I think that makes a ton of sense. And plus, if you're Wizard, it's like you get to play with a fresh deck of cards. It's totally fresh. And seeing how the NBA is starting to morph more towards like the style of the NFL, it would be nice to see teams like Washington and Charlotte and Atlanta kind of get back into the fold of relevancy. That's something that the NBA, to be honest, has kind of lacked, and it's really not healthy for that sport. I mean, granted, dynasties and yada yada, and granted, it's good having LeBron James and Steph Curry and Kevin Durant, but all in all, it really doesn't make the rest of the league all that enjoyable. So I think having that kind of play to make it so a franchise like Washington can start fresh is pretty smart. We see that in the NFL a lot too. Like, what was it, maybe 2 3 years ago or so, after the Rams won the Super Bowl, they went all in on everything they could to the point that they were completely depleted of draft picks. So the following season, granted playing a first place schedule and winning the Super Bowl took a lot out of them, and they pretty much had nothing to recoup. So the following season, they weren't all that great. But 2 years after that, they started to unload those contracts, and then they started to bring in more younger rookie talent. And that's what has brought the Rams to relevancy to where they are now, where you hit on so many young players, excuse me, that now that defense basically replaced Aaron Donald in one offseason, and that's pretty darn impressive.
Right. And so now it's like you're looking at the Bucks seem to be in this win now mode, but they also have to prove to Giannis they are trying to win. Um, and that's where the Bradley Beal deal comes in. Maybe he would want to. I mean, he was a 30-point scorer just a couple years ago. Like the
Sure.
dude can flat out shoot. He's just not a ball handler. Well, we found out Rollins and guys like that can actually handle the ball. Kevin Porter Jr.
Yeah.
And so if you in another scenario, I actually seen straight up Lillard and Pat Connaughton for Beal, Royce O'Neal, and a first round pick. Like, what side would say no to that? I don't
Wow.
think either would.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that would definitely work out too. I just think you are right about the win now mode. It does kind of have to happen. I saw today already for the Eastern Conference champion going into next season. We pretty much have about the seventh best odds to win the East.
Yeah,
So you can tell right now with the way it looks that changes have to be made, and aggressive decision making has to be made to move us forward as a franchise. To be honest, so I think you got to start making some plays. You know, Boston's going to make plays. You know, Boston's going to get back Jason Tatum by the time they start making a playoff stretch. So you got that. You got the Knicks. You got the Cavaliers. I do think Indiana takes a step back without Halliburton. I think that is a major blow, but they do have a nice team surrounding him, which is great. But I wouldn't be as worried about Indiana next season as I would be this season. They
because
got some more.
they might
Yeah,
actually lose Miles Turner.
exactly. I think that's some kind of glue that, to be honest, a team like that kind of needs. It's kind of like their Bobby Portis in a way, where it's not necessarily Giannis or it's not Pascal Siakam, but it is that kind of glue guy that you need for when your main guy isn't necessarily taking minutes. So
Right.
I think Miles Turner is the guy they gotta keep in Indiana. Like he's been there through and through ever since he's basically come into the league.
Yeah. So now looking at like the Kevin Durant trade, right? So this is this is kind of extraordinary that they really, like we just said, they gave away Green. That's it. Like, but they
They
had
did.
Reed Shepard on the bench. They could have moved Amon Thompson to the two. Reed Shepard could play some too if they want to go a little smaller.
Yeah.
They could bring Jabari Smith Jr. to the four, Kevin Durant to the three, one of those guys at the two. Remember, they got Jayshawn Tate, Cam Whitmore. They got Uncle Jeff who can play some four. Steven
Yep.
Adams came back, which was an underrated signing. So maybe Şengün plays the four. Who knows? Like they have a
Yeah.
lot of options.
Yeah. The
But
team is
now
absolutely loaded.
what says you don't get Russell Westbrook back? Some people may say that's a horrible idea, but on top of that, you've got Reed Shepard, you've got Jabari Smith Jr., you've got Tari Eason, Jayshawn Tate. You package those guys up, and you can go and get anybody. Like, who says no to that?
Yeah. They have a really really good crop of young talent, and it's pretty impressive that they've basically built this in 2 seasons. Two
Mm-hmm.
seasons of Ime Udoka is what it took. It works. We know that's why pretty much Kevin Durant really wanted to go to the Rockets, is because him and Ime have that connection from Brooklyn. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, like they got guys, they can package deals, and the fact that it really didn't cost them that much to get Kevin Durant is a huge win for that franchise. And I'll be honest, I mean, I'm looking at next season, and we know the format of the NBA is basically going to be what it was this past season. The Thunder were completely healthy throughout this playoff stretch. Same thing with
Yeah.
Boston 2 years ago. They were completely healthy, whereas other teams in the East got banged up. And we're seeing all these guys tearing Achilles because the pace of play is going up as well. I don't think it's 100% that Oklahoma City is going to be completely healthy going through the playoff stretch next season. Also, I haven't heard anyone say it, but I am kind of shocked about it because I have seen this play out in this playoffs. I think Oklahoma City is terribly coached. I think this Mark Dogno or whatever his name is. I granted there's a really strong defensive presence. I think Alex Caruso brings a lot of that as well. But when it comes to scheme, basically tactics, mathematical presence when you have to like just do basic math throughout a series and a game. I think he's not a good coach at all. And there were multiple series that he could have lost, or he should have won way earlier. This NBA Finals against Indiana, as dominant as Oklahoma City was, this series should have flat out been over in 5 games.
Oh yeah.
This series had no business going 7. I'd have to look at it again, but just like Game 1 against Indiana, they gave up Game 1 horribly against Denver, and who knows if that cost them 2 more games as well. When you start doing those kind of things, you're going to start putting more tread on your players' tires, and eventually that does catch up to them. Eventually, those players go down and get hurt. So I couldn't believe how they lost those games. And yeah, I mean, I did think Indiana would put up more of a fight than New York. Now the question is, if this would have been well coached and played out the way it should have been, do we think that OKC basically should have won the series 4-1? And then if it were against the Knicks, they probably would have swept the Knicks. I wonder about that. But the series against Indiana was way longer than it should have been. And even at that point, what's to say Halliburton doesn't get hurt last night? At that point, with the heater that he was on and how well coached Carlisle coached the Pacers, I kind of get the feeling that Indiana probably should have won that game last night.
Hmm. I mean, that's not a bad way to think about it. I mean, I can't. I'm not going to say OK City like beat them up. The score says it does. Like if you were just looking at box scores and stuff like that. But yeah, Halliburton went down, but he literally made Game 6 like his playground for about 20 minutes.
Yep.
And that's all it took was him out there for 20. I think he played 22 minutes, if I'm not mistaken.
Sure.
And it's
Interesting.
like, that's what you needed. Like, they were kind of, I don't want to say the word cooked, but TJ McConnell, he's not an athletic point guard. He's an annoying like Jose Alvarado 2.0 kind of guy.
Totally. Totally. And the thing to me that stood out, especially in this game 7, and I definitely felt that come the second half, it would regress to the mean. Plus, you're going to lose all that adrenaline. Oklahoma City is going to regroup, realize what they did badly in the first half, and then figure it out in the second half. The biggest thing to me that was so glaringly obvious from watching the game and then actually running the numbers back, the 3-point percentage of Indiana in the first half of yesterday's game was nuts. It was like 50% from three. Guys like Pascal Siakam and some of his friends were hitting 3-point shots from like anywhere. They even hit a shot to like end the half that was basically on like the sideline. Just crazy, crazy shots. I did the math. They basically were so far ahead in 3-point percentage that it basically gave them 12 extra points. Well, what do you know? Once they got to the third quarter, there got to be a point where those from the game being tied and then basically regressing to the mean and losing those 12 points. What do you know? Basically, at that point in time, OKC should have been at 80 points, basically a plus 12 lead from what they gave up on the 3-point shots. They were ahead by 11 when they were at 79 points. So it was 79-68. And you can tell that that just came from the regression of the mean of the 3-point shots. Those shots that they were taking in the first half were not going in the second half. They just flat out weren't.
I mean, if now I'm looking at the box score, if I told you that the Pacers had a better 3-point percentage, they had a better field goal percentage, they had a better free throw percentage, they only shot 2 less free throws, they had more rebounds, like you would go, "Oh yeah, they beat them." I'm honestly not sure how Oklahoma City won by 10 plus. It doesn't
Yeah.
add up.
It doesn't. And the weird thing about that too is I posted on X a similar box score from the series against the Nuggets in that it was like game one or it had to be one of the early games. But same thing. It was like the box score was so even and just not attractive from Oklahoma City. And they were blowing out the Nuggets by like 10. It didn't make sense. It was really bizarre, and that's kind of how Oklahoma City plays. I mean, they just know how to keep it close and do what it takes to get turnovers and then turn those turnover possessions into points. Um, the weird thing though that I noticed at the end of this game, and to me this goes back to how badly they're coached, is there came a stretch in that fourth quarter where, man, I kid you not. I swear they were at 90 points for like a good 6, 7, 8 minutes. And it only went from like 90 to 93. And up until then, when like Chet Holmgren finally had some open lanes to the basket and threw it down, they couldn't score points. And how do you have Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, Chet Holmgren, and Jalen Williams, and you can't score a single point?
Yeah.
Like, that it's mind blowing, and it's these reasons that I really think next season they're either going to get hurt or they're going to go up against a good head coach. And I don't know, maybe the two biggest teams that I think are their obstacles next year are two teams that are incredibly well coached in both Ime Udoka in Houston and Jason Kidd in Dallas. And what's to say Minnesota doesn't figure it out, because that's a really good head coach and young talent like Anthony Edwards, my guy Kermit Wiltz from Hustle, those guys, those three teams, man, I'm telling you, they're all better coached than Oklahoma City. Even LA with like the guys, the James Hardens and the old All Stars that are just good players. What's to say that Lou Williams is a better coach for sure. He is much better than the head coach at OKC. There are much better head coaches in the West besides OKC. And we've even seen too in recent years, these teams that like win the finals or were in the finals the previous year, they can't even get out of the second round. And what if a team like a Dallas is like a 7 seed and OKC is a 2 seed, or the Lakers or something? You run into these teams and they
What
take it to you. San Antonio could be good next season as well. Like, there are no guarantees, and by no means. I mean, I thought if this was a better, well coached team, This team should have gone through the playoffs with way less resistance than they did this season. It just reeks that everything went right, and basically they were able to save grace from the absolute follies that they had against the Nuggets and against the Pacers. Like it just didn't make any sense. And I think I definitely think next season I would bet against Oklahoma City. I do not think that team will be in the finals next year. As much as I really like Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, I think he is the best player in the NBA. I just don't think that they're gonna get back because of either health or really bad coaching.
I mean, yeah, I can't say it any better myself. Um, but you were talking about teams that could, you know, change some things, right?
Yep,
Get
absolutely.
some things moved around. And you said something to me earlier, and I didn't. I was like, I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah.
But I've been doing some workarounds here.
Okay.
You said something about the Dallas Mavericks, right? And you
Yeah.
said they could be the next team in line. And it wasn't because of, Anthony Davis, Kyrie Irving, Klay Thompson, and, presumably Cooper
Cooper
Flag.
Flag.
You said to me that they might be in to get LeBron James.
Absolutely. I've been feeling this ever since the trade happened that that LeBron couldn't finagle away with Anthony Davis under contract to find a way to for LeBron to get traded and then Davis to get traded. I think he had to have the sacrificial lamb of Davis getting traded to Dallas so that LeBron at his age can almost like I've heard he's basically a free agent that he can be a free agent now in this offseason and find his way to any team. I just don't see how he wouldn't want in this season to play with Anthony Davis, Kyrie Irving, and Cooper Flag. He's played with or against all three of those guys. And I think this team is just a perfect storm of really good players. They have other talent on that team as well. And it's weird. So the feeling I get with Dallas is the same feeling I had out of those Eastern Conference teams and Oklahoma City last season. I mean, OKC had no Chet Holmgren, and they still went pretty far in the playoffs. And last season, it was pretty obvious that that style of play, that run and gun, that tempo, Star Wars kind of defense or offense, is basically what was going to start to transpire across the NBA. So they do it, Cleveland does it, Boston does it. Um, and the Indiana Pacers definitely do it. So you kind of take the mix of the East of game the Knicks, the Celtics, the Pacers, and the Cavaliers. I thought that would be your top four in the East. What do you know? It was. I think going into next season, our final four is, especially out west, is going to involve Dallas and Houston for sure. Who those other two teams are, I don't know. It's kind of a mix. You got some weird elements in play. OKC could easily show up again. Minnesota could come back again. There's still this weird movement. Does Giannis get traded? Does he not get traded? Who knows if he shows up out west as well? There's just some weird things going on out west that I really, really think that, and my gut is telling me too that I really think LeBron's got like 1 year left. I really do. It's kind of Aaron Rodgers esque, except LeBron really takes good care of his body, to be honest.
Wait a
Aaron, not so
minute.
much,
Now, why are we always taking jabs at A-Rod?
because he's going to win 3 games this year, Triggs, and then they're going to
Oh,
replace him with Arch Manning, right? We know that. So
and we might,
LeBron,
we might.
yeah. So we covered that last episode. Check out our podcast last episode, and you'll see why the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to probably have the number 1 pick in the NFL next season. That's
Oh
last
God.
episode. That's no debate. You'll find out in that episode. But anyways, LeBron James has 1 year left. He's got all these commercials on whether it's playing Candy Crush Saga on your phone or buying things from Amazon this upcoming Prime schedule. It seems like LeBron's kind of on his way out of basketball. You're seeing a better, more positive personality out of LeBron. It's different. I think if I'm LeBron, I'm like, screw it. I'm just going to go chase one ring in Dallas. Going to make as much money as I can, play with a really good team, a really good head coach, and go for it. And if it doesn't work after this season, then I'm done.
Okay. So I've been playing around with some trade machines just because
Okay.
why not? All
Yeah.
right. If if they were to give PJ Washington, Daniel Gafford, and like I don't know, Caleb Martin with some picks,
Okay.
do the Lakers say no?
Well, do they even have to trade for LeBron James? I thought LeBron can just get out.
He isn't an option. Now, I'm just saying LeBron could take I mean, he was going to take a pay cut before, so maybe he does a sign and trade so that, the Lakers aren't just stuck in the mud. So maybe it's a PJ Washington, Daniel Gafford and a bunch of picks.
Well,
Do they say no?
well, no. Well, if I'm Dallas, yeah, I say no because I can outright get LeBron James and give up none of that.
Because
So,
but they don't have the money. They have to send money away.
oh,
Which
gotcha. I get it. Yeah, you're right.
but now
Yeah, at that point, then yes.
here's where it gets tricky. So LeBron right now is at like 40-ish million, somewhere in there.
Okay.
I can't remember the right number off the top of my head. But the interesting part about the Dallas Mavericks, so now let's say we don't want to give away anybody.
Yeah.
They have a $16 million trade exception for Tim Hardaway Jr., and they have an $11 million trade exception for Maxi Kleber. So we're talking $27 million without giving away anyone. Now you add in a Daniel Gafford who's making about $14 million. What do the Lakers actually need right now? They need a center, right?
They need
Obviously,
big
they need
guys.
LeBron James, but
Yes.
Daniel Gafford's a pretty solid center. That's $40
Yep.
million right there. I
That would
know
do
it
it.
sounds a little crazy, but it's like they can make
Perfect.
it work, but it would get a little crazy. And now if Dallas sends off a bunch of picks, boom, boom,
They
boom,
will.
boom,
Yep.
and the Lakers are looking going, okay, we may not be good this year, but we've got Luka for a while.
Yeah.
Plus, Luka's not signed long term. Like
Nice.
what happens then? And that could be the I mean, I think he's got like 2 years left on the deal, but
Yeah.
there's a whole lot of mixtures and, ingredients that you can
Wiggle
throw
room.
in. Like,
Yep.
I mean, we talked about that move. Can I go back to the Houston Rockets really quick?
Sure.
Just to be that guy for a second, right? Now,
Yeah.
we talked about how the Rockets could use now Fred VanVleet is not my favorite player on the planet. He makes about $40 million. You know who else makes about $40 million?
LeBron
And they
James.
kind of wait. Well, you're getting ahead of me, but yeah, LeBron James, right?
Yeah.
You could theoretically throw a couple of picks and Fred VanVleet and maybe like a Tari Eason or a Cam Whitmore or a Jabari Smith Jr.
Yep.
Do the Lakers say no to that? Probably not.
No way.
But you know who is on the market, and this is where it gets bananas. If I said, "Hey, I'll give you that same package of Tari Eason, Jabari Smith Jr., Fred VanVleet," do the Memphis Grizzlies say no to Ja Morant?
Exactly. Yes. And I
Just
have
saying.
been hearing some stuff about that Memphis isn't too happy about Morant. And the
They're
thing that you and
unloading.
I had brought up as well, and I've heard a few rumblings from some people who know it as well. The situation really with Morant's father is bad. Like his father is putting that toxicity on Ja. And
Yeah.
I think Ja needs to play in a city that is as far away from the state of Tennessee as possible. I think Ja's got too much weird culture with his father that is really bad. I mean, you're talking like borderline Antonio Brown craziness kind of stuff that he's gotta get out of there. I mean,
I'll
the
say it.
celebration he had on shooting threes and
Hey,
putting up a certain hand gesture, I don't have a problem with, but I do
then
have a problem when
grenades.
no, actually the other one, but I actually like it because like
No, no, I mean
people
both.
play video
They're like,
games, so it's kind of cool. And
don't
people
do
like
that one
zombie video
anymore.
games. Yeah.
Yeah.
So exactly, like I like it. I thought it was pretty cool. To me, it's kind of like what Jalen Brunson does as well. Like it's got that cool factor. So I'm not opposed to it. But what I don't like is the things that happen with him off the court, that kind of stuff. Just not good. It's not the cool Ja Morant that we saw coming out of Murray State. I think Ja's got to get as far away from Tennessee as he can, and going to the state of Texas would do that.
So now, yes, and I mean, I'll be the guy to say it. I'll say it. Uh, you know, Ja Morant, he's ratchet, right? Like everybody knows he's got a little hood in him.
He's cool.
So hearing a bunch of like uh of these stories coming from, I actually heard this from Gil's Arena. Shout
Okay.
out to their pod, the
Yeah.
pretty solid pod.
Yeah.
Ian Martin of all people said he would be afraid to play in Memphis. So like to
Kenyon
put
Martin.
somebody, Kenyon Martin said that.
That guy's
He
not
was
afraid of
having a
anything.
right. This dude, like, he was like, "Yeah, I wouldn't play there. I'd be afraid to play there because of the situations." He said he's been in some situations in Memphis that he was like, "This is not okay." And it's like when I heard him say that, I was like, "Whoa, uh, yeah, maybe John Morant, you know, the gun stuff, not even on the court, but off the court, IG live, smacking a dude with a gun, all that craziness that was happening. Maybe take, and I'm not saying Houston's the greatest, city in the whole world, but taking them away from that spot. Hey, I mean, even going to a Milwaukee, we talked about the Dame Lillard movement, or even going to like a Phoenix or somewhere where he's not in that type of environment
Yes.
because Memphis is blowing up, right? We talked about a couple weeks ago, Triple J getting a big contract. Well, they seem like they want to give him the deal. They didn't want to give Desmond Bain the deal. Obviously, they shipped him out of here. John
Yeah.
Morant's next on that list. And it's
Yep.
like, well,
They got rid of the
dude,
head coach.
yeah, and John Morant, I mean, he's on a friendly deal, to be honest, for like 4 years. I think uh like 40 per year, somewhere there, 45, somewhere in that reason. And it's like that's an easily movable contract in this day and age. We're not talking
Yep.
about a Tatum or a Brown or a Giannis or a Dame. Like that's a pretty easy contract to get out of there. And Houston just happens to have the right fit for that. Dallas, we talked about Dallas. Dallas has all that trade exception. They can hit that number pretty easily. And think about it. That's all free money coming back to Memphis. So why wouldn't they do that? Dallas could be the most fire trade destination for anybody because of that 27 million in trade exception.
That's fantastic. Yeah. I just I thought going into this season that Dallas would be a little rough, and the thing is, there's now that textbook on playing against the Luca factor, where it's basically like let Luca do his thing and then shut down everyone else, and Luca doesn't play defense. So that combination makes them very beatable. That's clearly going on with the Lakers. Clearly
Yeah.
going on with them. So if Dallas can figure out how to add more pieces, and plus, what did Dallas really lack in recent years? Tempo. They were a lackluster tempo team. Same thing with Minnesota. Now you bring in a guy with some tempo in Ja Morant. Now you start changing things. Now you start competing with the rest of the league or the Oklahoma City Thunder, or even Houston. To be honest, those young teams that have that tempo, that is the way the NBA is truly transitioning now. So you got to have those guys. And I mean, especially with Houston, like Kevin Durant's a walking bucket. They got a lot of guys who can move. They can make that team happen. And it's a Udoka, it's Boston Celtic culture. So those guys are going to be all around players. That's what Dallas needs to do to compete. They truly have to add in another element some way, whether it's a kind of either way, whether you go LeBron or John Morant, you're adding an all around player.
Hmm. I mean, they might even be the team that takes on Bradley Beals, like, or just thinking of
Gosh, I wouldn't
guards.
roll the dice with Beal though. Way too much injury history though.
I agree, but when you got free money that you're gonna have to use that exception by
Yep.
whatever it is, the deadline or next year or whatever. Like you got to use it, so might as
Yep.
well bring in some sort of talent because Tim
Yeah.
Hardaway Jr. and Maxi Kleber are gone.
Yeah.
And this could be a get right season for him too, because obviously Kyrie and AD both got injured, so maybe Dallas, maybe they do it on purpose, and they just flop for another season and get another top pick and let Cooper Flag and whoever just play ball and see what they can do. They could really stack their team for a year or two down the road and win a championship.
That's exactly what Oklahoma City did. They
Yep.
basically tanked, then added Chet Holmgren. They made a trade to get rid of Paul George to bring in Shea, and then basically in the
Part of
last
that tank.
year or so, yeah, and then the last year or so added Jalen Williams. And I I'll be honest, like I had no idea like where this guy came from, and then I found out he was from UC Santa Clara, and now it rings a bell because when it came to like March Madness and whatnot, that small school up in Northern California was scoring points, man, like left and right,
Mhm.
and he was that guy. So it's
Yeah.
cool to see guys like that who we know are good in college, or like Podzinski at Sacramento State. He's the guy that hits with Golden State. Steph Curry with Davidson. He's the guy that hits with Golden State. Those guys who just kind of take a university and puts them on the map scoring wise, they show up somehow, some way in the NBA. And when you add him with a mix of Chet and Shea, then you really start to build something when you have other players on that team as well. So it's pretty cool to see that. But yeah, you're spot on. Dallas is going to need to get something like that too. And if they can, then they'll be building in the same model as OKC, where they're going to be down for maybe a year or two, and then they're going to be right back in it. Like OKC, that was the only 2 year stretch, I think, in their existence that they were complete garbage. Other than that, OKC has been contending for a Western Conference title pretty much every year besides that.
Man, they were talking about how Presti literally traded like everybody. I mean, like it was like, oh, this all-star who's making a buttload of money isn't doing what I need him to do. Paul George, get out of here. Carmelo, Westbrook, Durant, like everybody, just
Steven
get away
Adams.
from me. I don't care. Like,
Yeah,
doesn't matter. Serge Ibaka, whatever. Jeff Green, who cares? Like,
they're all gone.
literally all of the Hardens of the world. Like, get out of here. And it's so funny to look at a team like that, where then on the opposite end of the spectrum, you have Philly, who tanked a bunch of times, and they got Markel Fultz, Ben Simmons, and Joel Embiid. And you're like, do any of those guys play in the league anymore? Like, I don't know. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
Joel Embiid is still on the team, obviously, but he's been hurt like every single season ever. And the other two guys were like, I mean, oh, forgot all about Jaleel Okafor, that guy. Like, it
That
has
guy's really
not
good
gone
though.
well. Huh?
Yeah. Okafor is very, very good from Duke. Granted, he missed
Hmm.
almost this whole season, but that guy is pretty special. He was tearing up the summer league last summer. It's very interesting too because I think Philadelphia has like fourth or fifth best odds to win the East next season. They're going to
Wait,
be getting a
Jaleel
lot.
Okafor, as in like the center from way back in the day?
Oh wait, no, my bad, my bad. I'm mixing him up with the guy that got hurt last season from Duke. I'm definitely mixing up names.
Yeah, Jaleel
Uh,
Okafor's old.
yeah, I gotcha. My bad. My bad. Yeah, that's debate. But the yeah, the guy that they got from Duke with their top overall draft pick, he pretty much missed all of last season. They got really snake bit by the injury bug last season. They missed a ton of guys. I mean, Nick Nurse is a solid head coach. I don't know if he's great, but he's solid. He's going to get a lot of guys back next season. It is pretty interesting that already Philadelphia probably could end up being a second round team in the East for the Eastern Conference playoffs next year. I think if they're able to ride through next season with everyone healthy.
Why am I not able to figure out who the guy is? Like my mind is blanking and I can't get it to figure out who I'm thinking of and who you're
Yeah,
thinking of. Not
yeah.
Jared McCain.
Jared McCain, yeah, that's a guy. That guy can just flat out ball. Pretty cool guy. I've heard his rehab's been going pretty well, to be honest. But yeah, Jared McCain, man, that's like that guy is going to be the franchise. He will
Can
be the best player on the Sixers.
can I run down the lineup they were running out really quick because
Yeah,
it's just bananas. So at the point guard, it was Jared Butler backed up by Kyle Lowry. At the two, they had Quentin Grimes and Lonnie Walker the third. The three was Kelly Oubre and Justin Edwards with a mixture of Jalen Hood Shafino, Garshawn Ubaselli at the four, Ricky Consul, and Marcus Bagley. And then at the center, it was Adam Abona and Isaiah Mobley. Like,
yeah.
who, what kind of, I couldn't even, I couldn't even make up like names and throw them out there any better than that.
No, it sounds like a FIBA All Star team.
It really did. It really did. I'm not even gonna lie. Maybe we should call Philly the new. Maybe they should be FIBA 76ers.
The FIBA, yeah, at that point they're the FIBA 76ers, but thankfully they start getting some guys back. I don't know, maybe Philadelphia tries to land someone if that's cap friendly possible.
They not.
But
Remember, Paul George is there.
oh, okay, gotcha.
Joel
Yeah,
Embiid's
so
got the big deal. Tyrese Maxey, like they're
yeah,
kind of
they got
stuck.
yeah, they got guys there, man. Like that. That's a pretty nice mix of guys that are actually legit that can play on that team. So I
But they're
like
all
it.
hurt.
Like
What do they do?
yeah, I mean that's the thing is too like they should be having more of that pace of play. Like you need more guys like Tyrese Maxey. Like Tyrese Maxey, to be honest, he plays with like the style that like he wants to be an OKC Thunder player. That's Joel Embiid is not that, and Paul George is not that. If there's a way you can move off that and start bringing in more pace of play kind of guys, that's the direction that team needs to go in.
Yeah, I mean that's no debate. To be honest,
That's no debate.
okay,
So,
we're pretty close to wrapping up. What do you got on
yep.
your mind?
So, I'm starting to put together some of my NFL divisional bets, and we'll be picking NFL divisional winners in the coming weeks. And it is interesting. It is very interesting when you look at these teams' schedules that I think now in recent years, since the NFL has added a 17th game, and they're probably going to add an 18th game. To me, it is very obvious that now the strength of schedule with how you finished the previous year going into the next season is becoming more of a factor. You're basically playing almost like an entire division of divisional teams that are as good as you were from last season. So if you finish in first place, congratulations. You're going to get a four divisional set of games that are all divisional winners. That is basically an entire division you're playing against. That is just division winners. And on top of that, a team from the AFC is going to be one of those. And if they add an 18th game, you're going to be playing against five divisional winners if you're a divisional winner team. So I looked at some stuff. I looked at a certain team from the NFC East. I looked at their schedule, and they are one of these better teams. And I went, "Whoa, that's kind of a shocker." And I looked at the NFC South, and the NFC South is basically a hodgepodge of teams that aren't the New Orleans Saints because they're going to be competing for Arch Manning. And it became very evident that when you look at these schedules and knowing which teams, kind of like the NBA, like did they play the whole season with good grace that no one got hurt? It's kind of obvious that if some of these teams do lose one of their key guys and they are under the gun of a tough schedule, they ain't going to make it. Like they're just not going to make it. So there's a certain team in the NFC South. It is kind of a team that your boy over there and this guy Steve Metrics likes, that has a really nice gravy schedule from statistically being ranked not so good in that division. That I'm telling you, man, you look at their schedule and you look at the way that that momentum of that team was going at the end of last season. There's a team in the NFC South that I really really like. I don't necessarily have a team going from worst to first, but do I have at least a team or two going from third worst to first? I definitely got that. That's definitely no debate. And I would definitely think twice before some of these teams you think that are super super great and they're just gonna clean house because of what they did last season. The NFL schedule is real. And to do what you did last season and do it with a full bill of health and going up against tougher opponents is a real tall ask. It happens in the NBA and in the NFL. It's clear as day.
Ooh, this is exciting.
Hmm. Yeah, there's definitely two teams that I've picked that I kind of got prepared to pick that I've added in the last 2 weeks that I did not have down as winning their divisions. And I feel very confident with picking these teams to win their divisions now.
Ooh, that right there is called leaving on a cliffhanger.
There you go, man. There you go. So yeah, stuff like that is things I'm looking at that's pretty cool. Definitely got to start running some numbers for fantasy football coming up. And same thing too. I mean, that's something that I think we got to work on for going into this season. Pointing out is those guys that really played with a really high floor last year and didn't have too much to work with and made big things out of it last season, and now this season maybe they go into a new situation loaded with weapons and now they can take their game to a whole new level in a way. I think that really tells you some things, and in terms of fantasy makes you a lot more confident getting those kinds of players. You got some debate going on over there?
Understandable.
Okay, there you go.
No, I'm kind of putting my brain a little bit in both places, and I'm trying to figure out what team it is that you're thinking about from the NFC South.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is definitely a real interesting situation going on down there. And this team does actually have one of those high floor kind of players. But we know too that if you get that player, he's got some nice reinforcements alongside him as well. So pretty interesting theme. I would say too, going into fantasy, that if you're I really think that you nailed this strategy last year with your team. Ironically, it was with Bo Nix, who eventually you let go, and then I took and I ran with Bo Nix. Um, I
But
think
I
your
got Sam
strategy,
Darnold though. I did get Sam Darnold.
yeah, and that worked out too. Except he turned into a pumpkin at the end of the season in both the fantasy and end of the playoffs, and then the actual NFL playoffs. And funny
True.
thing too, my team, the Raiders, said we don't want Sam Darnold because he's a pumpkin. Um, yeah, so but the strategy of basically waiting way late in a way deep league, if you're in like a who knows maybe a 16-team, two quarterback league, or maybe a 12-team, two quarterback league, or something like that. If you can get those way late quarterbacks, I think going into this season, there's almost like a handful of these guys that I think we'll have to point out in maybe next week or so, that these quarterbacks, I think you can get way late. They are multifaceted, so they're going to be like a Jaden Daniels or a Josh Allen. They're going to get you running points and throwing points, that I think you can get way late, and it just makes the whole rest of your team have way better value.
Man, now you're making me think about fantasy football. I guess
Yeah.
the NBA Finals just ended, so I mean,
It
is
did,
that what
but
we?
it still feels like the way the NBA season went, that it almost went like as if it were a fantasy basketball season in a way. Like I just thought the way the NBA playoffs went this year was really cool, and it wasn't just like a superstar kind of like hit you in the face kind of thing. It was just great basketball, and I do think Shea's an up and coming star, to be honest, but it was still cool to see just great basketball coaching now the Pacers. Great team building, and to be honest, they're both similar style teams, and just seeing good tempo, pace of play kind of stuff. It just feels like it's almost like fantasy NBA, in a way, with kind of how these teams are styled and how they're built. It's good team building, and it's good team execution.
Hey, I'm cool with it. Should we
Absolutely,
wrap up the show right there?
I think so, man. I think that's me, Steve Metrics, and that's your boy.
I'm over there. I'm
Uh-oh,
I'm
you're over
over
there.
there.
Oh,
There
okay. I
we
got, I
go.
got some weird mirror flip, but that's your boy,
DJ Triggs.
and that's no debate.
Boom. Well, I mean, if only I could do like the media out string
True.
thing, but don't tell anyone. We're locking